Do, 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 do. Okay, cool. Well, welcome everybody. We are just discussing the idea of similar people working together, and Ben here brought up a really great question that I think is really core to a lot of what we work with. And there's a couple of different angles we can take with this. But Ben, why don't you propose it and let's kick it off.
Yeah. So one of the fun questions I like to ask people is if they could work with a clone of themselves. Like how could you could you live with a clone of yourself? Now there's a whole bunch of things like, okay, like if you're married, cloning, like then I got a problem, right? But that's not like ignore going a level deeper than all of that. The like who drives the car, like going deeper than that. Could you get along with somebody with an identical personality to yourself? Is the question. And and some people are like, absolutely heck no. And some people are like, oh yeah, definitely, that would be awesome. And but in my responses that I've gotten for this, it's very polarized. It's either heck no or yeah, that'd be great. There's none like, I don't think that would work. Like maybe. Um, and very little of the maybes. So it's just kind of interesting.
So you're saying that it's sort of like a one side would love to live with their clone, and the other side would just like couldn't stand
Just to hate it. Yeah.
it. Middle ground is what you're feeling out.
And what's interesting is, okay, so you would initially look at this and say, oh, the people that can't live with a clone of themselves are because they're abrasive personalities and they are the jerks of the world, right? So we can dismiss them because it's just the people that are jerks. They can't get along with anybody anyway, so of course they can't get along with themselves. But that's not actually true. So I have some good friends that said that they wouldn't be able to work together, and some of that is them understanding that they have learning to do. Like, like okay, yes, I'm an abrasive personality, and I want to be less abrasive, but some of it is just is like it seems like there's some fundamental like aspects of people that make them work together or not better. It's like there are leader people and follower people, and the follower people are like, yeah, I would work well with another follower, and the leader and a follower, but two leaders are like, no, I couldn't. I would fight with my clone because then it's like the alpha beta thing. Like the two leaders say, no, sorry, we can't we would we would fight over the leadership, whereas the leader by himself can partner well with followers. It's not like they can't partner with anybody. It's just that it's like blood testing or blood donation. Some are compatible with others, but not. It's like, it's a compatibility matrix. I think
Here's the
people end
question.
up in the same thing.
You said like two leaders end up fighting over the leadership,
Right.
right? It sounds like that doesn't sound like leaders to me. And here's what I would parallel or build upon what you're saying. So we have the example of like Andrew Carnegie and Pullman, right? Sitting in a lounge talking about basically the future of steel and number of other things would be impacted by this conversation. And when Pullman asked Carnegie, or excuse me, not Carnegie, but when Pullman asked the other,
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller, right? When Pullman asked Rockefeller, so we have Rockefeller and Pullman. When Pullman asked Rockefeller, well, what will we name the factory? Rockefeller, without missing a beat, says, "We'll name it the Pullman Car Factory." Right? Just those kinds of things. And so I think that's great leadership. I think that the idea of knowing what matters to you and what doesn't, and being able to offset that with people that even though you might have to share. I think that might be the issue here is when people get their true desires, it can be very intoxicating for anyone. And being surrounded by people that know you really well, going back to the clone example, that person would know you really well. And they probably could really offer you good advice. And, if you're filling the exact same characteristics and you're filling the exact same leadership, I would feel as though you should probably go out and do that in different spaces. However, palather and run parallel and learn with each other at the same time. Um,
You
that's
said we'll keep going, but you said something very interesting.
What was that?
You said your clone would have some very good advice for you, which I think is true, but is a very interesting point, because what does a clone know that you don't know? Nothing. Which means you have good advice for you that you're not listening to.
Mhm. And it's forest through the trees. So camp, I'll put my hand up right now. I would love a clone of myself. And guess what? I work with clones of myself all the time who've just come from different families. And
Mm,
it turns out that they have different experiences, which, let's say, have spotlighted different knowledge or experience or wisdom in different categories. However, at the basic level of what we truly need, what really matters to us, I feel as though we offset each other quite well and understand each other's, let's say, a trauma or experiences or other things like that to an intuitive level, right? Like family. Something that your mom sort of, we hope to build with each other, something like your mom has, maybe not at that level ever, cheers to all the moms out there. I can't imagine that is. However, as a father, I've started to realize that not only can I have a wonderful relationship with my children, I can also have the same kind of very loving, understanding relationship of the one full of joy, of just like cracking up smiles, like, here, Ben, ready to catch the ball? All right. Like this kind of fun is possible between people. God is not dead, Nirvana is not dead between people, right? Those kinds of things. And as much as behaviorist psychology and science and other things like that helps us expand our understanding of the world, there is still a very deep, misunderstood, often misunderstood connection between people that I'm not going to try to attribute words to right now. I'm just going to say that there is somebody in your example who knows everything about me, and maybe like a mom or a father, the things that are necessary, not everything. They weren't at every rock concert or every joint that was smoked or anything like that. They weren't in those places with me, but they understand. They you know, just like that's
mm, yeah.
like that person in your life. I'm sure if anybody, me and you, anybody who watching this can think of one person, and then think of the advice that you didn't listen to within yourself, that at certain times in your life was very helpful for them to repeat that back to you, and to have you hear, because it's tough to hear yourself when you're not talking in your deep internal thoughts, right? uh,
Yeah. Well, here, let me throw out a foundational thing. Man's deepest desire is to be truly loved, unconditionally loved, like ultimately loved. But man's deepest fear is to be truly known. We want to be loved and accepted, but we don't want people to know our deep dark secrets. But yet we actually want people to know our deep dark secrets and still love us anyway.
and we're afraid of telling them, aren't we?
Yeah.
And fear is not the economy that we should move our lives forward on. In fact, running from the bear is often understood by most people. And it turns out that we're just running from the things we don't want to say. And we just need to turn around and give that a hug and understand that and accept what has happened. And like the Pokemon bridge, right? That Griffin shared with us recently, there's 5 trainers on the bridge, right? And you have to beat all of them in a row, right? He
Right.
laughed with me. He's like, "But you can heal your Pokemon, but they can't." But whatever, it's this thing at the end when you beat all of them. They say we did our best, or we did our best, and that's today. And tomorrow you can certainly do better if that's yelling at one last person or other things like that. And I feel like not I feel like that is a great road to being accepted by other people for who you are in an environment like this where I can get angry or other things like that, which really isn't a draw for me in my life, but I can even express those things or understand them or go through those things with people. And then we have a room. You can even write something down and burn it in the fireplace in there. But when we leave that room, there's a door, and we leave it at the door right there, and then we go on to understanding each other better with that just as context, right?
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for your time today. This has just been fantastic talking about this. Ben, what are your closing thoughts here?
I think we've learned that we need to listen to ourselves more.
And having a clone would be a great experience in that understanding set, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for your time. Go find somebody who's close to a clone as you and tell them all your secrets. I'm joking. But find people in your life that celebrate your victories, that really are there to understand you better, and they want to have a way that they can support you better, where when things happen they can offer you more support and come back and give them the same things, right? And just make that an organic thing where respect can grow, and through loyalty trust develops. And remember, if you break any one of those three, you have the potential to lose all three. So treat people with the kindness and respect that the reason inside of them that their mother loved them deserves.
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone. How do I stop